Well, that's good. How about now? Do I have audio now? Oh my gosh. See? First live of 2024. And I had no audio for the first 7 minutes of the live. But that's okay. This is how we learn. Is the audio good? Is it coming in clear? Says Kane 108, 180. Hello, Kane 180. Can you give me from a 1 to a 10 the audio quality? 1 being poor, 10 being absolutely excellent. Okay, yes, the audio is good. Cool. Thank you. 10? Oh, bet. And it's a little far away from me. Well, wow, I was just talking all this jabber. No audio, but that's okay. That's okay. Thank you for joining, Kane. Appreciate you being here. One of my first videos on YouTube. Oh, Claudia Nival está aquí con nosotros. You're here as well. That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining. So one of my first videos that I posted on YouTube, well, this channel, anyways, this is my second channel I've ever had. The first ever video, I had quoted Jay-Z, and he says, "You could be anywhere in the world, but you decide to be here, and for that, I'm grateful." And it's true, because we have very limited time on this planet, and the fact that you're even choosing one moment of that time with me, I'm deeply grateful. But what was I saying? The goal of these daily lives, the goal, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Is to share my stories, my ideas, my experiences, tips, and things that I've read that have helped me better my life in terms of my relationships, my health, and my money. But I really want to focus more on my relationships and just relationships in period. Um, I'm going to just put it out there. I'm going to just say this straight up. I make mistakes, as we all do, right? However, I am someone who makes mistakes and pauses, reflects, learns, adjusts, and tinkers. How did that turn out? Right? I'm not here to be anybody's guiding light, right? I'm just here to broaden perspective, specifically give you more awareness, an awareness you probably didn't even have before. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to agree with me. That doesn't mean we're going to be in alignment. But you at least get to hear a different perspective, right? Gain some self awareness. If you're new to the chat, please say hello. So far, we got Kane 180 and Claudina Nival. So, anyways, thank you so much again for being here. I just want to really show my gratitude and express my immense thankfulness. But yeah, the whole goal of this live, this daily live that's going to happen every single day, at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you are in Central America, Pacific side of America, another part of the world, this is happening on the East Coast of the United States. And it's mainly going to be in English, even though I do speak Spanish. Just putting that out there. I may drop a couple little poop poop palabritas aquí y allá, a little few words here and there. But this is mainly going to be an English speaking channel and live. But my goal is to, like I said, share my ideas, share my tips, share my experience, share my stories, right? And if they provide value to you, that's the kind of relationship I want to build, right? So yeah, this is exciting stuff. This, like I said, this is my first live of 2024, and it's so interesting. I have all these thoughts and ideas, and I play with these thoughts and ideas while making these decisions. And then I compare. Once I make the decision, I'm like, okay, how did that turn out? What happened? Do I want that to happen again? You know, I've been told that I'm a very self-aware person. And very receptive. And I'm thinking to myself, is that important to have? Is self-awareness important to have? Is being open-minded important? Right? When it comes to your relationships. And I'm not just saying romantic, even though that's where I'm leaning more towards, but your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your coworkers and friends and family, and the person you choose to lie in bed with, you know? At the end of the day, believe it or not, the most important relationship that you will ever have in your life is with the person that you lie in bed with. Who do you wake up next to? What do they say to you? What kind of relationship do you have? Are you attracted to each other? Are you compatible with each other? Do you have the same values? Do you have the same or similar lifestyle? All those things are really important. How do you argue? That's huge. Do you have the same love language? Do you not have the same love language? Do you meet each other's needs? Do you hold space for each other? Do you know what the other person needs and how to provide it? And so these are the types of things that, among other things, but specifically those things I just mentioned, is what this life is all about, what this is going to be about. And it gets deeper, and there's nuances to it as well. I find that the more I get to know who I am and have a personal relationship with myself, the better my romantic relationships go. Something really, really incredible was made apparent to me in the middle of last year, and it was revealed to me through self-reflection, and I smiled, but then was absolutely shocked. Now, what I'm about to say may sound absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely not. That cannot be a thing. But as far as I'm aware, I'll say that. Disclaimer. As far as I'm aware, I have had many relationships with various incredible human beings that have added value to my life and have allowed me to add value to them. And that right then and there is the whole point of relationships. The whole point of relationships is to connect with one another and to add value to one another. Now, the value, that depends. Sometimes it's with quality time. Sometimes it's with emotional connection. You determine the value, right? The specifics, the details. And I have had a vast array of relationships, as well as engaged in conversations with other people that are in relationships and in partnerships, whether they be married, dating, long-term relationships, looking to get married, people that are, no longer in relationships, divorced. And I've engaged in a lot of conversations surrounding relationships and what makes a relationship good, right? Personally, I value relationship in a way that I don't really value as many other things. My relationships determine the quality of my life. And I think relationships, even for anybody else, determines the quality of your life. Aside from your health and your wealth, your relationships and the people around you, who you have around you, is really important. And like I said earlier, who lays next to you is the most important. And why is that important? Because this is the person you're going to have around you after you've grown up with your siblings, after you've left your home and become an adult, right? And then even once you've made friends, then what? You get in a relationship. Now, I have a story for you. I really started to dive in deeper into relationships and in a more scientific way, psychologically, excuse me, way, in 2019. So, a little insight into me and why I even am doing this in the first place is because back in 2019, I went through a very, very difficult breakup. Possibly my most difficult breakup. And as you can imagine, it was a pain like I've never felt before. Um, I can describe it verbally. It was excruciating. My sense of self had gotten distorted. So, can you imagine that? Can you imagine that you're involved with another human being in a romantic sense, in an emotional, intellectual, physical, spiritual way, and that relationship no longer working for various reasons. In my case, not to do with infidelity, but incompatibility. While still having feelings, while still being attracted to this person, and no longer engaging in this relationship. Um, that's very difficult to do. And the effects of that separation was a distortion. Like, you when, and by distortion, I mean, you don't know right from left, left from right. One moment you're okay, another moment you're not. Um, so I knew right then and there that your romantic relationships, my romantic relationships, any romantic relationship will impact you in a way that others won't. Don't get me wrong, your relationship with your parents is a very strong relationship, and that breaking down can be very difficult. Your relationship with your friends can be very difficult if there is a separation. But your romantic relationships are very powerful relationships, very beautiful. And 2019 was when it really was sealed in, how vastly important and impactful romantic relationships are. And that is when that is when I began my journey into learning deeper about things like attraction, compatibility, resolving conflict, how to fight, setting boundaries, communicating your sexual needs, communicating emotional needs, communicating, period. And I realized there is psychology behind it, of course. And a lot of it had to do with having the bravery, the willingness, the openness, the self awareness to go and find information that I didn't have, that I wasn't able to use and utilize in that relationship. Now, that was back in 2019, and that experience, that separation, was essentially a springboard to gaining more knowledge around relationships And as much pain as that separation put me in, there was eventually an upside. And that upside was gaining significant more self awareness, relationship knowledge, as well as communicating with another human being that you care about, respect, and love in a way that makes you figure out, are you actually in alignment with each other? Because we all have needs, whatever they may be. But do you have the tools? Because it is tools. Now they're not tangible things. They're not things you can grab. They're not things you can utilize with your hands and fingers. They're non-tangible things. It's things like patience. It's things like discernment. It's things like intuition. It's things like using the Socratic method to ask questions for clarification. It's things like using honey instead of vinegar to get what you want, to create the environment that is conducive for love, respect, and growth. It is coming to you first when you have an issue with something that they're doing and asking yourself, is this an issue worth mentioning? Or is this something that I can let go of? Am I trying to change them and mold them to my liking, or do I like them just the way that they are? These are things that over time I've gained perspective on. Also, having the ability to lovingly, respectfully say, this is no longer in alignment with me. You are great exactly the way that you are, but this is not in alignment with me. And and there are so many issues in relationships. Gosh, not knowing how to attract a partner, that's a problem in a lot of people's lives. Not knowing if you and your partner are compatible, or seeking or finding, filtering out who is compatible to you. Now, compatibility and attraction are two different things. And those are two different problems to solve, right? The other problem is infidelity. Infidelity is huge. My goodness. Why do people step out? Why? Why do they step out? Why do they cheat? What's happening? What's lacking? And that's where I'm at right now. Now, get this. I am asking this question not from my own pain, but my sheer curiosity. Curiosity has always led me to finding significantly more awareness around something. Pain as well. Don't get me wrong. But right now, the question on my mind is, why do people cheat? If you love this person, so you say. If you respect this person, so you say. If you say that you're happy, supposedly, then why cheat? Why? And that is what's on my mind right now. My curiosity has been birthed around this question. Infidelity is going around rampant, among other things. And I have some insight, and I'm gaining more insight on as to how not to get cheated on. Isn't that interesting? Is that even possible? That's the thing. If you have in the comment section, because there's 4 people here, and again, I'm very grateful for you to be here and listening in and tuning in. I would love for you to answer the question: why do you think people cheat? Why do you think that people cheat? Why do you think people step out? I know that can be a, now I apologize sincerely for not putting that as a disclaimer, because this topic can be a sore spot for people. It may bring up memories, or it could trigger a fear of it possibly happening to you. Whatever it is. If you have any thoughts at all, I'd love to read it. Why do you think people cheat? It could be, well, that's just the narrative right now roaming around is that's just human nature. Novelty, feeling of being ignored. Ooh, I like that, Kathleen. Novelty meaning newness, feelings of being ignored. Those are good. Newness, right? Or your partner's not paying attention to you. Could be, right? Attention is this unspoken about, untangible currency that we all crave, that we all need, that is literally at our fingertips through social media. And not being paid attention, not paying attention to your partner can definitely be one of the reasons, for sure. At least it's definitely a trigger for disconnection. Some of us are significantly more attuned to our partners and can tell when there's a disconnect. An immediate disconnect. There's a story I heard from this divorce lawyer who wrote a book on divorce. And it says, if you have made it to my office, it's too late. That's the name of the book. I can't remember the name of the author right now. I can look it up right now as we speak. But he was speaking to one of his clients, and he was telling her a story about when she knew that the relationship, her marriage, not the relationship, her marriage was over. So there was this little cookie snack that she really liked. And her husband used to buy it for her. Now, she never said to buy it. She never asked him to buy it. She never mentioned when it was low. But anytime it was low or it was empty or it was no longer there, he would buy it. And it was this unspoken about thing that he was paying attention to her, what she liked, and something that connected them in this unspoken about way. And that went on for years, right? The same cookie. And there was this one time where she noticed there were no more. It had run out. And she thought to herself, oh, there should be some coming up really soon. A couple days went by, no cookies. A couple weeks went by, no cookies. And a couple months went by and there were still no cookies. And that's when she knew that the marriage was over. And you would think to yourself, like, cookies? Cookies? You think that your marriage, a legally binding contract, as well as a spiritual contract, is over because your partner, your husband, didn't buy you cookies, right? And you can see it that way. But it's deeper. It's lack of paying attention, like Kathleen said. This minor yet huge way that you're no longer paying attention, as well as not even communicating. Let's just hypothetically say that the cookies were discontinued, or there were no cookies in that store. Simply communicating, hey, there are no more cookies, and I know you really like them. I hope I find some soon. Also, you mentioned novelty, Kathleen. A friend of mine who has added significant value to my life, she once said to me, Sasha, relationships and being with someone is like attending someone's funeral over and over again. And as you can imagine, I was taken aback. What do you mean I would have to attend my partner's funeral over and over again? And she said, because they will grow and turn into a new version of themselves. Perhaps completely different than the one you originally met. And you will, to some degree, have to mourn the old version of who they were. I'm not gonna lie, that took me some time to process. What'd you say, Kathleen? But there's often a lack of really being part of two-way caring communication. Yeah. I think the reason, I'm going to answer Kathleen in a moment just to finish my thought. Novelty will come if you continue to grow. If you are committed to growing, but even if you're not, if you're just someone who is constantly expanding and growing, there will be novelty. But a lot of people are stagnant and stop growing at a very early age, significantly early. They just get stuck in their ways. Boom. Get stuck in their ways. So you're not bringing any newness, any freshness, any life, any current. There's no energy coming through because you're exactly who you were when they met you. How exciting is that? It's not. Now, it's predictable, and you would think predictability is good, is stable, right? But it's boring. Nobody wants to be in a boring relationship. They would rather be shot first. Whether they admit it out loud or not, that's a different story. But, Kathleen, to your point, but there's often a lack of really being part of a two-way caring communication. So if you're not someone who values communicating with your partner or sees that that is a need, by the way, there's a difference between a want and a need. And this is something that I deeply thought about some time ago. And it sprang from the ending of my 2019 relationship. There's a difference between a want and a need. Want, it's just that extra stuff, right? But a need is absolutely crucial. I can't get what I need. And one of the things that you need in relationships is communication. I cannot read your mind. Not yet. You know, it's so interesting. People want to be like, oh my God, I just want you to read my mind. I just want you to know me. It's like, excuse me, first you need to communicate with me who you are. I need to know how you react to things, what you like, what you don't like, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, right? What are your core values? And once that's ingrained in me, baby, I will know you just by a little flinch. Now that's me. I'm that kind of a person to really observe my partner. But I can't read you if you haven't revealed yourself to me. I can't read you unless you reveal yourself. You want to be read? You don't want to communicate that much? That's not going to work. It's not going to work. One of the main reasons people cheat absolutely is because there's no communication. How you gonna know me? You don't know me, bro. Girl, you don't know me. You have to communicate. Now, here's the thing. I have been in relationships where people do just want to be read. And after countless times of not getting that which they expected, they have some time to reflect and ponder and go, maybe I should open up my mouth. Maybe I should speak up. Oh yes. That is definitely one of the advantages of long-lasting relationships. But I will say I will add on to what you said, Kathleen. Communication isn't enough. It has to be honest. It has to be vulnerable. It has to be transparent. It has to be real. Because I myself have witnessed and even done real inauthentic, dishonest communication and have seen the fruits of that. And it's rotten fruit. Communication without honesty and transparency and vulnerability is cold. It's separate. It's distant. It's isolating. You could be opening your mouth, but not saying anything. And you think, oh, but I said things. Did you? Did you speak from the heart? And a lot of us don't, because we're afraid. We're afraid of the same things, and we're all afraid of the same things. If you are afraid to communicate, it's because you're afraid to be rejected or judged. Plain and simple. And those feelings, those emotions are so visceral and so deeply uncomfortable that we would rather hide in our ways of communicating, if we communicate at all. We would rather hope and pray, please just look at me and know what I'm feeling. Please, don't you know me? God. But you're looking to them to read you instead of looking to yourself to speak your truth, no matter the outcome. Now, I have realized something through my life. If you are communicating something, having the awareness of, are you communicating to gain something, or are you communicating to give something? Let me explain. So I would communicate my need for emotional connection and their lack of doing so. Now, I was communicating this not to simply inform and so that they can gain awareness, but so they can apologize and change their behavior. That was my intent. That was my desire. Yet I did not say that. That was that internal, uncovered, subconscious thing I was communicating, the subtext under the words. I wasn't being fully open. Hey, I'm telling you this because I would like for you to apologize as well as change your behavior. And if you don't, then I will go. Now, ultimatums are trash. I'm just going to say it. Ultimatums are absolute trash. Having standards, not trash at all. Very much chef's kiss. Having boundaries, not trash at all. Very much chef's kiss. Ultimatums, trash. Doo-doo. Don't do it. It ain't it. Mm-mm. Mm. Let people decide for themselves. But before you let them decide, inform them. Now, here's the thing. I have heard unwanted advice is criticism. That's advice, right? But if you're in a relationship with someone, if you're in a romantic relationship with someone, if you're talking in the talking stage, in the dating stage, in the official stage, you're engaged or you're married, simply communicating your reality so you can expand their awareness is not wrong. Now, making sure that you are just sharing so that they have a wider awareness that includes your reality should be the only intent. Let me just repeat that. Sharing your feelings with your partner with the intent to widen their reality, their awareness with your reality, I should say, is the only way you should really communicate. Because most people don't think that they're in the wrong. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. Most people think that it's A-okay. Oh, hi, Annalie. Glad to see you here. Lack of trust doesn't allow vulnerability to be part of the relationship. If both can't be vulnerable with each other, then the communication, connection, everything else isn't really there. That's true. That's true. Trust and vulnerability. That's the thing, though. People enter into these relationships without having these core foundations. By the way, I think what you said, 100%, I agree. But to look even deeper, why would you be vulnerable if you deadly fear being rejected and judged? Why? What's the benefit? If you don't, why do people do anything? Because they see the benefit in it. Or someone that knew the benefit showed you the benefit to it. Right now, a lot of people don't see the benefit of being vulnerable, men and women. Why should I open myself up and share something that leaves me naked? And then possibly the possible reality that they might say, that's crazy. That's ridiculous. That's nasty. Why would you? Right? And like, here's the thing, unless you have a incredible sense of self and high self-esteem, these type of comments won't affect you. However, coming from someone that you admire, coming from someone that you're attracted to, coming from someone that you want to impress, right? Those comments can be very detrimental to your self-esteem and your confidence. So why would you? Now, you have to build, and building that trust to be able to be vulnerable. And here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with disagreeing with one another. But the way in which you communicate that disagreement is really important. Kathleen is saying, I need a hug works when I need my husband to listen to me. That's really sweet. It lets him know that I'm having a difficult time, but it offers him to be part of the solution, not the cause. I love that. I love that a lot. I love that you're able, Kathleen, to communicate exactly what it is that you need and why you need it. I think that's really beautiful. And that actually makes me really happy that you have that type of relationship with your husband like that you can communicate and that you give him the opportunity to be that solution for you when you need it. I think that a lot of people should have that in their relationships. Thank you for sharing that. Man, I just got really into it, didn't I? I got really into it. Oh, I feel very lucky that way. Lucy, I'm guessing you meant lucky. Yes, you are very fortunate. Kathleen, just curious, how long have you and your husband been together? I'm a guess. I'm gonna throw out a number. 30 years. It's been 30 years. Wow. Married 47 years, together 40 now. Wow, that's amazing. Holy smokes. Woo! What is your secret? Girl, you need to be on this live with me. Because, baby, those numbers are getting less and less and less. I used to attend weddings. Side note, I used to attend, getting a little lighter here because it just got really heavy. So I used to attend weddings when I worked them as a banquet server. And I remember there was a point in the night where they would ask all the couples, all the married couples, to come to the dance floor. And the DJ would start saying numbers. If you've been married for a day, the married couple that day, if you've been married for a day, leave the dance floor. If you've been married for a week, leave the dance floor. If you've been married for a month, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 years, 10, 15, and less and less and less couples, not less, excuse me. Oh, less couples start to stay on the dance floor, as you can imagine. There was one time, Kathleen and everybody else, that, swear to God, there was this couple that was there for 50 years. 50 years. The whole room erupted in cheer. It was incredible. It was the sweetest thing to witness, to know that that's possible, to know that it's out there. And I wondered to myself, what did they go through? What did they overcome together? How did they grow? How do they communicate with one another? How do they fight? How do they disagree? Do they still make love? Really good love, passionate love, sex? Do they have children? Do they have grandchildren? Do they go on trips? Do they still teach each other something new? These are the questions that went through my mind. Now, I didn't go ask them because I was at work. But, to be with a human being for that long, I can only imagine the challenges, right? Especially with what I said earlier. People change, people grow, and you would have to mourn the past version of themselves more than once. You've named it already. We listen to each other. 2 children, 4 grandchildren. He still makes me laugh when he tells me stories of his childhood. I love that. Wow. Wait, Kathleen, hold on. Question. Are there still stories that you don't know? Or have you gotten, there's this show, How I Met Your Mother, where Ted and his wife got to the point where they've told each other all of each other's stories and they know all the stories in great detail, and they high-fived each other because like, yes, we did it, we made it, we know all the stories. Are there still new stories that you don't know, or do you know all of them and you still laugh? I'm curious about that. Well, you take the time to answer. Um, uh, he's unique in that he approaches each event from a different perspective. I know the story, but always wants details. Well, approaching things from different perspective definitely shifts the story, sometimes significantly. New details, but always new details. I love that nuance. Nuance. It's like having your favorite dish over and over and over again, or listening to a song you really like over and over and over again. You start to hear the guitar way in the back, or the bass. The bass line really stands out to you, or the percussion, right? Or the way that they say a line in the chorus that they didn't say the first time around. I love that. That's really cool. I love that a lot. I love that a lot. Damn, Kathleen, you're making me feel jealous. But you want to hear something? I have learned that jealous and envy, if I'm not mistaken, are indicators of being something that you want. If someone has something that you want and you find yourself becoming envious or jealous, don't take that as a bad thing. Take that as an indicator of what you desire and knowing that you can also achieve that. So, different perspective on the feelings of jealousy and envy. So, only worry if you wish them not to have it. Oh yeah, no. Oh, absolutely not. Gosh, definitely not. Why? Point of reference. Point of reference. How will I know what I want and don't want if I don't see it existing in the world, unless I use my, imagination and create something that doesn't exist? But if it exists within someone, in someone, I know that I can also achieve it. That's how I think, though. That's how I use jealousy and envy these days. Also, I enjoy other people being happy around me. um, Anyways, this live has gone about 56 minutes. I'm going to sign off in about 4. Yep, examples to follow. I love that. I don't mind walking behind someone's footsteps so that I know where to step in my own path. Now, I may veer off, but at least I'm headed in that direction. I know I just talked a lot about relationships and so many different concepts and stuff like that, but this is what it's about. I'm chilling in the studio, relaxed setting, and talking about things that are constantly on my mind and that I am refining how to communicate them. And not only in the verbal language, but as well as the written language. And this is an opportunity to connect with you, those ideas, and for you to, respond and give me any feedback or thoughts on the ideas I'm sharing and how to solve the problem of, which is honestly preventable in my personal belief, and shouldn't really be happening. So, yeah, I'm really grateful for everyone that decided to join this live stream. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your energy. Thank you so much for commenting and giving me insight. And I will be back same time tomorrow, right here. Um, and yeah, so I'm really grateful, like I said, and thankful for your time. I will be a little bit more. We'll see. I'm figuring out how I want to be. If I want to like shoot from the hip, that was terrible gun sounds. Pew 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 pew. Poo poo poo. Whatever. Shoot from the hip, or if I want to be a little bit more structured. Okay. Yes, if I want to shoot from the hip, or if I want to be a little bit more structured with these lives. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Tune in. Tune in. See how it goes. If you have any feedback for me, you are welcome to send me a message on Twitter. I am on Twitter at Sasha_Navar. You can comment on this live. It will be posted on my channel. I'm on Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram, but I will be focused a lot this year on YouTube and just really, posting more content on YouTube throughout this year. But yeah, if you have any feedback for me on how I can communicate these concepts better, but difficult to digest or confusing at all, I would greatly appreciate it. This is an opportunity for me to like work on my skill as a speaker. Yeah, so thank you again so much. Hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will see you this time, well, at 11 p.m. tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.